This has got to be one of the biggest surprises of 2025. Hi guys, this is Farhad and welcome back to my channel Popcorn Reviews. If you're new to this channel, then please smash that subscribe button now. And as a video ritual, remember to like and comment on the video. Liking and commenting helps fuel the YouTube algorithm. And today, the film that we are going to be talking about is the new Kannada film, which is called MAHAVATAR Narsimha. MAHAVATAR Narsimha, which is making waves at the moment. Now, it has been a while since I have, covered a Kannada film on this channel, and I would also like to call this an Indian film because the subject is universal, which I'll get to in a minute. But before that, a little backstory. I would be the first to admit that I have a lot of fascination for Indian mythology. Despite not being of the Hindu faith, but I have a lot of stories that have been fascinating, and every time there's something that comes up, I happen to read it or to study it, and it's there's such a plethora of stories that you can learn from, which is why if you watch my video of Adi Purush, why I was angry with that film was exactly because of that. You showed flamboyance as opposed to simplicity, and that is one of the restricting factors where I am a little hesitant while watching Indian mythology on celluloid. There's nothing against Indian mythology, but watching it on celluloid is more dependent on the filmmaker and how he or she interprets it, and whether he understands the simplicity of the subject matter and the morals at the end of the day or not. And that is where Adi Purush had gone horribly wrong. And so this film itself, made me a little skeptical, which is why I chose not to watch it earlier. But as luck would have it, I had this only option to watch it during the week, and I said, what, let's give it a go. And I was so pleasantly surprised that filmmaker Ashwin Kumar has understood the subject matter so beautifully, with so much simplicity, so much softness to it. And I absolutely loved Mahavatar Narsimha, and I'll get to the animation bit at the later stage in a video, which I have something more to say in that as well. But firstly, coming to the story and screenplay, we all have grown up on the stories of Hiranyakashipu and how he was destroyed by Narsimha, who is the fourth avatar of Lord Vishnu. And Narsimha, for people who don't know, is a half lion, half man kind of a creature, which Lord Vishnu took, as an avatar of for protecting one of his devotees called Prahlad. Prahlad was, by the way, the son of Hiranyakashipu as well, who's regarded as a demon in this case. And this is a simple story. It's if for people who already know the story, it's pretty much straightforward. But the point that I want to make is that I was just thinking, and it just occurred to me while watching the film that how many films that we've watched have had indirect influences of Indian mythology in it. It's a topic worth discussing if you think about it, even if it's a fictional mythological drama in the form of Bahubali, which I regard as one of the pinnacles of Indian cinema, I would say. That has so much influence. That character of Bhallal Dev, he can be directly compared to Hiranyakashipu as well. There was another scene in which the famous Katappa ne Bahubali ko kyun mara, the part where the first part ends, Bahubali 1 ends, only to act as a transition for the second part, and it ended with Katappa swording Bahubali and killing him. I think that again was an interesting parallel that you can draw with this story as well, wherein one of the characters is hesitant in pushing Prahlad off a cliff. It's almost similar in context. The parallels are there. Hell, you can even watch some of the superhero films from the West, the Marvel superheroes, and how the traits of these characters, the traits of many of those characters, they have direct influence from the Indian mythology. Call it Thanos or any other. Even the superheroes that are there, they have similar traits, and that makes me wonder that how rich the Indian mythology actually is, because the stories are universal. It's not only restricted to the Indian culture, which by the way it is also extended to a global audience, and that makes for a wonderful watch. So coming back to Mahavatar Narsimha, one of the strongest aspects that I felt as far as the screenplay was concerned was the characterization and how it was presented on screen. We all know that the characterization is good. We all know the moral of the story. It's a typical good versus bad kind of a template. But the presentation here, that is something that has been mighty impressive here as far as this Kannada, or rather the Indian film, is concerned. And for that, let's understand the characteristics of the three main characters that are there. There have been other characters in the film as well, but the three major characters of Hiranyakashipu, of Prahlad, and of Lord Vishnu in the form of Narsimha. Let's go step by step in this order only. So first is Hiranyakashipu, and when he's introduced, you get to know that he is absolutely a lustful kind of a person in terms of the power and the greed that is there, and that is the characteristic of the individual that actually creates a haze around his devotion. The moment you have a superiority complex is something that you step away from the divinity and the devotion of the Almighty, and that is what is shown here. You can draw parallels to the today's environment and the many world leaders that are there in today's times, and you can just draw parallels about how hungry, or whether they are not power hungry people, like or like not Hiranyakashipu. And I think that is the defining trait of that character which makes him an antagonist. And why is he so powerful? Because he's got a boon from Lord Brahma as well. The trinity of Indian mythology: Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. So Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the protector, Mahesh, or we can also call him as Lord Shiva, is the destructor. So in this case, Brahma grants him that wish of immortality in a way, and that is what makes him a powerful entity. And as you say, with great power comes great responsibility. That is not the case with Hiranyakashipu. He wants to actually command the people around it, as opposed to helping and bringing everyone together, and that is the defining role also of Hiranyakashipu, and that forms the characteristics of him. Second is Prahlad, and that remains one of the most fascinating characters that I have watched. Why? Because he is a devotee of Lord Vishnu, firstly, and his ability to distinguish between the good and the bad is unparalleled here. And here, the ability to question the individual. In this case, the individual is his father, his mighty, powerful, evil father. And still, he questions, and defines his thought process, of why things are like that, and how he must bring everyone together, bring love, not hatred, all of that. But there's an important driving trait of this character as well, and that is of unwavering devotion, unwavering faith. And that is what you see when Hiranyakashipu wants to kill Prahlad, using the elementals of air, water, also earth, fire in the form of Holika that we celebrate also just a day before Holi, where we burn all the twigs and rice and everything, just to celebrate the victory of good over evil again. So that was a little bit of history, but the driving trait, as I said, is the unwavering faith that he has, and his ability to influence people around him, some of which are almost in awe of him and his ideals, and the other of almost having to pay for it rather. And his faith is almost similar, wherein In a scene he says that even if my god or my lord, in this case Lord Vishnu, doesn't come to protect, it is his destiny then, because Lord Vishnu knows what is best for him. And that is such a humbling and disarming way of looking at the long term picture, not the short term picture, but the longer larger picture that is there. And that defines the character of Prahlad. Now comes Lord Vishnu in the fourth avatar of Narsimha. Now, Narsimha, you see, is a very powerful kind of a creature, not very different in terms of the basic characteristics from Hiranyakashipu. In terms of power, in terms of power is what I'm saying, not the fundamentals of it, but the power of it. But here, the difference that you see is that you see him exercising his power only as a form of retribution or punishment, and not in the form of hatred as Hiranyakashipu does. That is the difference between the two characters, and his driving force is that of pinnacle divinity. That is what the driving force is, of trying to overcome obstacles, and eventually bringing people together and giving them a chance to evolve even after the retribution happens. In a little fleeting scene you see Narsimha saying that he is paid for the prices and he will only evolve from that, which is such a forgiving way of looking at such a kind of the hatred that he was undergoing in the form of the other person. And the hatred wasn't the cause of him attacking, it was protecting his devotee in the form of Prahlad, which actually made him take up violence. And it's such a wonderful way. And if you look at it, in your head, all of these traits can be in one person as well. There are materialistic gains that are there in the first individual in the form of Hiranyakashipu, which is more of an internal thing as well. We are always clouded with a lot of materialistic and worldly pleasures, to that of devotion, which is of Prahlad, to something that is of pinnacle divinity in the form of Narsimha. And that, if you see, is also the evolution of life. And it's a 3-stage process, just like the Holy Trinity. It's all adds up, and all of this is beautifully expressed in the film. There's certain softness but also firmness with which it is presented, and it makes for a wonderful watch. And in a scene wherein you see Hiranyakashipu on the palm of Lord Vishnu, in that scene you see that Lord Vishnu covers the entire universe and he's just a mere speck, even less than that. That is all of us, you, me, and everyone included. That if you look at it like a larger picture, that we are all merely specks of dust in this universe, then it actually gives you a context of where we need to achieve, what we need to go for, and we are of matter of no relevance at all. And that's, I think, the larger theme of the film also, of lust, power, everything is there, but the larger context is also very well set. I'm so impressed with this animation film. Quickly coming to the dialogues, the music and the direction, I think the dialogues have a sense of softness. There is also a lot of feelings in which the dialogues are presented and dubbed also. I watched the Hindi dubbed version, I must admit, because the Kannada one wasn't here, not too accessible. But the Hindi dub version also is wonderfully well, presented with a lot of emotions, and all of that is retained. What is a banger, an absolute banger, is the music by Sam CS. Sam CS has absolutely hit it out of the park as far as the background score, the music is concerned, particularly in the last 30 minutes in which the drama actually goes on a rampant carnage, and by the way, there's a lot of violence here as well, and the makers have not held back. Here, the violence is not repulsive, by the way. There's justification for that, and it's not, it's not irresponsible filmmaking, is what I'm trying to say. It's justified here, but it's also justified that it has got a US certificate. So, the banger that is there comes in the form also of violence when it's a rampant last 30 minutes which is there, which is absolutely a visual spectacle as well. I'll come to the animation in a minute, but the editing also is pretty good. The the sequences are well edited, and it keeps the emotions of the drama intact. Director Ashwin Kumar also has done a wonderful job here. I think he's done a pretty solid job in understanding the source material and maintaining the simplicity but the relevancy of the drama. He's not too flamboyant, hasn't gone out of the way, to showcase, certain kind of, sentiments which is otherwise misconstrued in the larger scheme of things, like Adi Purush did. Lot of things that Adi Purush did was wrong, and which is why I was very angry in that video. But here I'm pleasantly surprised. I was hesitant, as I said, while watching, because Indian mythology on celluloid is always a hit and a miss for me. It's more of a textual thing for me rather than watching it, because it's about interpretation also. But here Ashwin Kumar has interpreted it very well, and because this is a universe now, it's going to be, I think, a string of 7 to 8 films. I think Kalki is divided into two, so 8 films are there. I think the Mahavatar universe is something to look forward to, and it's a almost a 1000 crore franchise that you're looking at potentially. Which brings me to the animation. Now, this is a typical area where I speak only about the performances, but here the voiceovers are very good. But I want to speak a little on the animation. The animation here, the one area that little can be improved in the further installments is, the speech transition of the animation. What do I mean by that is, if a person is speaking in the animated movie, there's a stall, there's a stop, and then the speech is imparted. It's not really in sync, and that little detailing can be fine-tuned, because it comes across as stale. And we all have been programmed to watching so many animated films from the West, which, by the way, have been the highest grossers of Hollywood in recent times as well. In terms when IP is ruling, the animation films are really scoring well with the audience, the core audience. And because you're programmed for that high level of animation, here the budget is restricted, so you have to go a little soft on that. But despite that, the detailing could have been done, and that, I think, felt a little stale for me as far as the text animation is concerned, the speech to transition animation is concerned. But the visuals, by large, I think this is a film that can really make you proud, because it's a genre reviving kind of a drama. Let's not forget that. I don't remember any animated film from India that has come out in recent times. There was and there's always been a misconstrued objection about there being no market for animation films in India. But in India, when I mean, I'm saying locally brewed animation films, which the West does. Even China is doing, with a film like Neja 2, which was a phenomena in the box office, global box office. Film that is there. Even local brewed animation in the form of anime is very popular in Japanese, which makes me think that we can do it too. There is a budding market with the way the film is going and faring at the box office without any pre-buzz. Absolutely, it just went for a knockout, and I think this is just the start. And the one way to look forward to such films also is, that you can tap into the Indian mythology, yes, responsibly, but you can take so many stories from there and present it on screen. Not only the Mahavatar universe, which I think the franchise boasts of in the upcoming films. I think the slate is set till 2037. The spate of 8 films that are there over the next, say, 12 years, which are coming out. Other than that, also the Indian mythology is rich with all these stories, and they can be presented in the form of such wonderful storytelling, which has moral relevance in today's time as well. Don't associate this Indian mythology with religion. It's not religion per se. Yes, there's a religious angle to it, but it's not religion per se. It's about the morals and everything that you get to learn, in that template of good versus evil. And I think that is, what the fascinating aspect is, particularly with this film, Mahavatar Narsimha, which I absolutely loved. And so I would, probably recommend this film if you've not watched it. I'm sure there would be many people like me who would be hesitant, would have similar fears that how I did, but I happened to take a chance, and I'm glad I did. It's a nice starter pack, to introduce kids and young adults into the world of Indian mythology. I think that you can definitely take your kids along, accompany your kids, okay, because this has a lot of violence as well. So you need to accompany your kids, but at the same time introduce them to this wonderful world, which will allow their imagination to run riot, along with keeping the moral encompasses intact. And that is what Mahavatar Narsimha does. This film came out of nowhere. Nobody expected it to do. There was no buzz, rather. I wouldn't say whether they expected or not, but there was no buzz, pre-release buzz about it, and people like me were hesitant as well. But I'm glad it's doing well. It's a worthy film that has come out in a lot of mediocrity that I have watched, and I'm so frustrated otherwise with the kind of Hindi films or any other films or Hindi content that is being churned around after Sayara. None of them work for me, in fact. And in all of that mediocrity, this film came as a nice little surprise and cheered me up. So, Mahavatar Narsimha, really liked it. Do watch it. If you've already watched it, let me know what you think in the comment section. Remember to like the video. You can also dislike the video if you've not liked it. But liking, disliking, and commenting helps a small creator like me. You can comment on any recommendations if there are any few as well. There have been a few theatrical releases which aren't accessible here in Mumbai, unfortunately. So I'll have to wait for the OTT release, like the new Fafa film or the Vijay Sethupathi film, or even the other Kannada film, So From Su, if I'm not wrong. So all of that, it's not accessible in my area, so I'll have to wait for the OTT. But other than that, if you're liking this video, remember to smash that like button. And my detailed review of Mahavatar Narsimha is present on my site, Popcorn Reviews with the double S, link of which is in the description box. Remember to visit my site as well, Popcorn Reviews with a double S. That's a brand. And also follow me on social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxd, and Nokia. I do not make a video on everything that I watch, but I do write a lot, and all the latest reviews across languages are available on my site, Popcorn Reviews with a double S, the link of which is in the description box below. I'll see you again soon with another video. In case you want me to cover any other film particularly, let me know in the comments. I'll see you soon, and thank you for your patience. I know I've not been consistent, but I'm trying to do one video per week at the moment, if time permits two. And that is what the target is, given the workload that I'm surrounded by. But other than that, life is good. I hope life is good for you too. Please take care of yourselves, and thank you so much for your support. Cheers, everyone.